Twinless is a compelling character dramedy that takes some wild turns as the lies between Dennis and Roman come to light. An emotionally devastating and frequently hilarious dramedy, the film stars Dylan O'Brien as Roman. An anger-prone adult still reeling from the death of his twin, Rocky, Roman forms an unexpected bond at a grief support group with Dennis. Dennis also claims to have a dead twin, setting up their initial connection to blossom into a genuinely sweet friendship. However, Dennis is actually hiding several truths from Roman, including his surprising and heartbreaking connection to Rocky. Here's why Dennis wanted to bond with Roman in the critically acclaimed Twinless and how it sets up the film's emotional ending. Why Dennis is lying to Roman in Twinless. Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney, staring ahead and smiling, in Twinless. At the core of Twinless' many twists and turns is an ever-increasing web of lies that Dennis finds himself spinning for Roman, all out of a desperate bid to not be lonely. Early on in Twinless, it is revealed that Dennis actually knew Roman's dead twin, Rocky. In fact, the two even hooked up. Dennis fell head over heels for him in a way that Rocky simply didn't. When Dennis went to confront him after seeing Rocky with another man, Rocky ended up accidentally being hit by another car and was instantly killed. It's this desperation to be connected to Rocky that prompts Dennis to follow Roman and eventually insert him into his life. As time goes on and they become closer, this lie takes on additional layers. On the one hand, Dennis comes to see Roman as his best friend. There are also little hints that he has an attraction to the straight Roman, which comes to a head right before their eventual confrontation. If Dennis tells the truth, that all goes away. Dennis also comes to subtly fear Roman's temper if the truth is exposed, especially after seeing him brutally beat down 3 men who had thrown homophobic insults their way. This underlying danger makes Dennis' situation even more complex, especially as Dennis tries to maintain his importance to Roman even as the latter falls in love with Marcy. Dennis eventually tells the truth, which breaks the bond he formed with Roman, and gets himself beaten by his, now former, friend. Dennis' motivations in Twinless, especially how it stems from his own loneliness, grief, and guilt over what happened to Rocky, make for a very compelling story. Dennis may come off as creepy and even dangerous at times, but there's a genuine desperation and despair in the character when he finds out that highlights how the lies weren't necessarily malicious so much out of panic. Alone in the world, Dennis saw an opening with Roman, who likewise found something important in his connection to a new friend. It's easy to judge and condemn Dennis for his actions, but it's just as easy to sympathize and even pity him. Dennis isn't a monster, and he's not really even a villain. Instead, he's a sad man who wanted a friend. That is an important element of the movie, especially given the thematic through-line at the end of the film. The true meaning of Twinless ending. Twinless Dylan O'Brien as Roman. Twinless explored a lot of different emotional states, whether that be how grief and anger can go hand in hand or how love can be both healing and toxic. On some levels, the film can be said to be an exploration of how poor communication can destroy potentially beautiful relationships, both romantic and platonic. However, the core of the film's arc is the idea that forgiveness isn't necessarily dependent on worthiness. Both main characters in Twinless are flawed but genuine people, who need to accept their faults but be given a chance to grow. Roman's temper is established early in Twinless, leading him to yell at loved ones or beat down others. When Roman falls for Marcy, he does his best to regulate his anger, and apologizes when he yells at Marcy, accepting she won't let him talk to her like that. She forgives him, even if he doesn't think he's worth forgiving. This is paralleled by Roman's decision to accept what Dennis has done and forgive him on some level. It gives Roman a chance to apologize for his prior attack, recognize the bond he and Dennis shared, and even get some genuine closure about Rocky that Dennis would have never been able to share if the secret remained hidden. It's clear Roman and Dennis aren't necessarily friends anymore, but it's an important moment for both men. There's even a degree of self-forgiveness at play, with Roman and Dennis both recognizing their codependent impulses by the final stretch of the film and working to address them. Their final conversation in the film is sad, likely the last time they'll talk, but without any trace of regret or fury or even heartbreak. It's acceptance at its most powerful.